Happy College Radio Day, everyone. Welcome back to another show here on the station, 17-hour radiothon. It's been an absolute blast so far. We still have 12 full hours of programming left to go. We're just getting started here today, but we're already having a ton of fun. I'm Shea Neal. I'm pleased to be joined for this next show here today by our sports director, Parker Testa. Parker, we're not going to be able to leave this station much today, so we might as well just have a little fun with it, right?
Absolutely. So we have this show here that we're doing right now, and then my show coming up in the next hour. So
Absolutely.
we thought this would be hard work, and it has been, but it's worth it. It's a lot of fun.
It is for sure, and I'm very excited. I mean, something that I really wanted to highlight here on College Radio Day was the perspective of college radio from people who work here, people who don't work here but interact with us, and then even the faculty administration side of it too. So that's why I'm very excited to bring on the Dean of Students here at Wright State, Chris Taylor. Thank you so much for your time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to be here today.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate it, like we said. So just really quick, let's start it off with just a little bit of a basic intro, just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and let some of the people listening to this program get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. Again, Chris Taylor, the Dean of Students at Wright State. I've been in this position for a little over a year now, but I've been at Wright State for about 8 years, and prior to that, I worked in student conduct, so hopefully there's no people out there who recognize me for that reason. But yeah, no, it's great. I love Wright State. I have come most recently from Miami University down in Oxford, and have been in higher education now for about 30 years. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Very, very cool. And I mean, I'm sure Parker's with me on this one. I'm glad that I don't know you from your student conduct days.
Absolutely.
Everybody is. Everybody is.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about the same thing with Chris Hogan, where it's I'm glad I know Chris Hogan for the good times and not what he actually does on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I can't line him up with that position, but he does it well.
Yeah, I know. His personality does not really fit the day-to-day job, but
well, and side note, but having been in an office next to him for many years, people would often come out of his conduct meetings laughing.
Yep,
absolutely.
So I made people cry. So what are you gonna do?
And he was just in our studios, prior to recording this, did a bunch of campus tips and general life tips for us to play on air. So
he's the life of any party. He lights up any room.
Agreed.
So first off, I want to kind of get, like I said, different perspectives on college radio as a whole, and then WWSU's role here at Wright State. So Can you tell us a little bit about some of your experiences interacting with WWSU while you've been here at Wright State?
Yeah. Well, one of the most recent ones was a project that Patrick Schmalstig did, which was focusing on the pandemic. Yeah. And they interviewed both, Sue Edwards, the president, and I. And I thought that was a great, story and great, thing that they were pursuing. And really enjoyed being part of that. And I certainly have listened to WWSU. I think I've been in at least one other interview. And then strangely, right on the other side of the wall of the studio here used to be my office. So I would hear, even if I didn't tune in, I would hear them, hear it all day.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we had to come over and say, "Hey, could you maybe just turn that down just a touch?" The in-station monitors, but that, and work with the Guardian a lot. And, sometimes they both cover the same stories. So, yeah. And it's I wish the reach extended a little farther, because honestly, I probably would have it on in my car all the time.
Right.
But, it is what it is. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that I think I know the person who probably got a lot of those noise complaints. But no, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we kind of that's been one of our big projects this year, where we know that our reach on FM is really all of Fairborn and most of Dayton, but that's still a limited kind of window. So we've been doing a lot more YouTube content. We've been streaming live on our website. We do streaming on Facebook Live. So I think it's really cool that we're kind of embracing that multimedia approach, which has been a really nice kind of revamp of some of the content we do, and I think Parker's a big fan of that too.
Yeah, and if you can't get your content out there one way, you find another way, and you find multiple ways. So, like you guys are both saying, our reach doesn't go as far as we would like it to, but we can reach those viewers and those listeners in many other ways.
Right,
well, and I think also amazingly, you were able to shift during the pandemic, pretty well, to be able to do that, remotely in most cases. So I think that was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that really not just with the pandemic, but with the union closing down, and with all the we've dealt with a lot of different challenges and different situations in the time I've been here, and I think that this group here, this station, this org, is very adaptable in situations like that. And I think we always do a very good job of making the most out of situations that we don't necessarily like. But just to go back to, like you said, if we can't do it one way, we find another way to do it. Just as a recency example that I did, we had the volleyball team in for an interview last week, and great interview, by the way. But in the past, we'd air it, and if you missed it, we'd have to kind of send you the audio file. It was a little complicated. Sometimes it didn't open for everybody, all that kind of stuff. So there was some hassle there. Now we uploaded it on YouTube the next day, and now anyone who wants to see it, we just send them a link to our YouTube channel, and it's so much easier, and it's getting a lot, it's getting our content a lot more clicks, which is always great because we're promoting, the stories and the athletes here on campus.
And by the way, if you miss any interview from College Radio Day, including this one, you can catch it on YouTube.
They'll all be on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited about that. So let's talk a little bit about, the presence of a college radio station here at Wright State. Not every university has a college radio station, and especially in recent years, a lot of universities are kind of losing their college stations. So what do you think the impact of a college radio station does for Wright State?
Well, I think there's a lot, but I got to go back a little bit in that while I was not a DJ or on-air personality, of my high school had a radio station, still does, WKET at Fairmont here in Kettering. And I did, however, assist a buddy, while he was DJing. So not much experience, but I did enjoy that. I've been, most of the colleges I've been at, and I've been at 6, have college radio stations. And that includes when I was at Miami. Well, because I was there as an undergrad and more recently too. And we had, WXY, which wasn't necessarily right on campus, but we had a lot of students who worked out there. Mm-hmm. So in a great alternative station, which I actually now unfortunately is defunct. But I've had an affiliation or a love for college radio for a long time. But I think on this campus in particular, I think it's a great voice for students. Mm-hmm. I think it provides amazing opportunities for, obviously the two of you, but others as well who may want to go into this in the future. Right. Maybe they had some experience in high school if they were fortunate enough to have that and wanted to extend that. Mm-hmm. Or they're just looking for, another way to get involved, even if they don't have a, future planned in broadcasting.
Absolutely.
But I think it's a neat opportunity. Certainly some of the shows I've heard on here, it's not just music, obviously. You guys delve into a lot of issues, sports and other campus issues. So I think that's, vitally important. Mm-hmm. I think it's, it's just a great way for students to have additional voice and feel like, that they're getting messages out that they want to get out. And I think it's great that you are still and continue to invite, university folk to come on and talk about things. And like I mentioned, the show that the president and I were part of during the pandemic, I think was a great way to talk about, how that was affecting people.
Right.
So I think that's great messaging. And I think any media is really important, and we've seen the effect of media, particularly probably over the past, 4 or 5 years. Absolutely. And how media has an impact on all of us. I think we all have relied on media a lot more during the pandemic. Yes. But I think too, again, it's just a great opportunity. And I think it would be a pretty tremendous loss if, at some point we said, which I don't think we have any plans to do, but said, now we're not going to do that anymore. And I think for the colleges that have done that, I think that's to their detriment. Mm-hmm. And I think they've lost something there. And maybe they had to make those calls. But on the other hand, I think for the students and for the university or college itself, I think that's not a good move. So, if there's anything ever threatens it, I would probably, try to advocate that we not make any moves regarding WWSU.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think I want to hear Parker's feedback on this too. But I think a lot of people that talk to me when they ask about what I've gotten out of this experience. I mean, obviously, I can talk about the professional side of it, where I want to go into this after college, and I want to. It's a good resume builder, and it's good experience. Justin Kinner, who we'll have on later today, he had a great point where he said, radio. Not to compare, radio being in media to like being a doctor. It's two completely different career fields. But media and radio, especially here at Wright State, is one of the very few that you can get on the job, like basically very similar experience to what you'll get post-college while you're in college. Doctors have to go through the program. You can't just walk into a building and perform an operation at 20 years old. Here at WWSU, you can walk in and do your show. And no, you won't get the same listeners that you might get when you're 25, 30, but it's a start, and it's a great way to, learn on the, kind of on the fly.
And that's something that I had a Pacers broadcaster, Pat Boylan, on my show earlier this semester. And he talked about that exact thing, to where if you want to go into radio, you need to find that university, that place, that college to get you the on-air practice reps things like that. He said classroom experience is great and you learn a lot, but you learn the most when you're on the air and doing the actual job and
Right.
doing and being on the air. So I think that's and something that we've talked about in the past, you and I, Shay, is Wright State's good enough to where there's something always going on,
Right.
but it's small enough to where we get those on-air opportunities.
Absolutely. And that's our friend down the hall, Mackenzie Hefferlin, the editor-in-chief of The Guardian. That's one of my favorite quotes of hers, where she says, Wright State is big enough to make a difference, but at the same time is small enough to make a difference.
I heard that quote actually in a meeting with the Board of Trustees yesterday. I think Jonathan might have said it, our student body president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I think people need to realize too, this isn't just some, you guys are doing this as a hobby. You have to follow FCC rules.
Yes,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's professional.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, there's penalties for that.
Absolutely.
And we don't run afoul of that at all. But again, I think people don't realize sometimes that it's not just, you all sitting in a room in here and saying some stuff. There are definitive rules about how you have to do this.
Right.
So I think that's important to realize.
Right. And that's something that, and people from the outside see us like, of course we sit around, we have fun and we have fun with this and it's fun, but we take this as seriously as we can because at the end of the day, it is a fun job and we really enjoy it and we don't want to stop doing it. So we take it as seriously as we can. And it just happens to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's great.
Absolutely. And I mean, like you said, going back to that, I mean, I think we found a really good balance of when we have members join or when we have show hosts here, we say, hey, you do have to follow these rules. You can't say this on the air. But other than that, we want you to have creative freedom. We want you to do what you think you want to do because it's all a learning experience here at, with this station where you're preparing yourself for what you potentially want to do down the road. So I think we find a really good balance of having fun with that and making sure that they're enjoying the experience and they're getting the most out of this experience. But at the same time, like you said, taking it seriously because for both of us, I know in this room, it's not just, paid job on campus to make a little extra money. This is what I want to do when I graduate here at Wright State. This is what you want to do when you graduate here at Wright State. So I come in and treat this like I'm already, out in the workforce because it's all about using this as a stepping stone to get to where you want to go after college.
Yeah, and everybody has to start somewhere. And for all of us here, this is our start. And who knows where it could lead. So, like I said, we take it as seriously as we can. But, we do have fun. And there are times when we, kind of mess around a little bit. But at the end of the day, we take it as seriously as we can because it's what we all want to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you did kind of hint about this a little bit, but obviously the presence of a college radio station at Wright State, you feel is a very valuable one. What do you think, why is college radio important in your eyes, both at Wright State and just around the country, around the world, if you could put that into words?
Sure. Again, I think it's a very important voice for students and, if not the students directly on air, but getting the student voice out there and heard to other people. I think it highlights things that are going on campus that people might not otherwise know about, which is important. And that's both events and issues. So I think that's vitally important. And again, this is, it's another method of communicating with folks. Another method of, free speech in some ways. I mean, obviously you can't say everything you want to say due to FCC guidelines, but I think that's just vitally important. And, when you talk about it across the country, I mean, I would not be a good uncle if I didn't plug the fact that my niece works at UK, University of Kentucky's college radio station. So, I've gotten to know a little bit more about college radio through her. So that's been exciting. And so I think, again, it's just another voice for students. And again, just a great opportunity. I didn't know that both of you wanted to be in broadcasting, but wow, what a great opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've heard it from multiple people where it's like, Wright State, you're fortunate enough, you mentioned it earlier, but at Wright State, you're fortunate enough where there's a lot of people that go to schools like Ohio State or UC or Indiana or, a school like that where you work at the college radio station, but you don't get a chance to be on air until your senior year. Right. So there at schools like that, you get the degree and you get the, the big school on your diploma, but you only had 1 year of on-air experience and now you're trying to find a job in media. Where here I'm going to graduate with 3.5 years of on-air experience. And it's
amazing.
Really, really nice. Yeah. It's a great start. Like we talked to a few alumni throughout the day, who are now in media. Kev Nash, Justin Kinner will join later tonight, both now working at Alpha and do a great job. I mean, I listen to them almost every day and it started here. So I think that this is an awesome opportunity for a lot of people where you don't have to wait until you're 21, 22 to get your voice heard at the college radio station. You can, hop on. We literally just had our first show today from 8 to 9. was from an incoming freshman doing the royalty or the Queen Poet vibes. So I think it's really cool that at 18, 19 years old, you can have this kind of platform like you were hinting at.
Right, and we've reached out to a lot of our alums this summer. I mean, one of whom is the voice of the Kentucky International Speedway,
Mhm.
and
Wow.
which is really cool. And we have so alum all over the place, like you said, Kevin Nash and Justin Kinner, among others. So there are lots of different opportunities. All go a whole bunch of different ways with what we do here. So it's awesome to see, from a personal perspective. I didn't know there was a radio station at Wright State.
Right.
When I did my campus tour, I literally just walked by. I was like, oh, there's a radio station? That's cool. But in coming in, I had no intentions of doing it. Like we talked about on our director show a little earlier, or later. At the time of this recording, I should know the schedule, but I don't. But I had no intentions of doing it. I wanted to go teach high school and coach baseball, but I've gotten into it and it's fun, and I'm going to stick with it because it's a blast.
Yeah, and I think that's another this isn't something that I was really planning on going into, but I'm glad that you brought it up because it's another great point made by Kev later on tonight is if you ask anyone or I'd say not anyone, but most people who work here, most people who have a show here, whether it's staff or DJs or, assistant graphic designer or whatever, most people will say when we started here that we thought that's not for me. I don't know if I can do radio station. I don't know if I can do that. That's not for me. So I think the theme of today that you'll hear from a lot of these shows and from me especially is if you're unsure about it, I mean, just go for it because you don't have to be on air. I think that's a common stereotype that if you're going to work here at the radio station, you have to be on air. That's the furthest thing from the truth. The most talented person who works here is very rarely on air and not known for being on air.
Exactly.
So I think that if whatever you want to get involved with here, I think we do a really good job of trying to plan around what people are interested in. But I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people that work here, myself included, when I first started here, it's like I don't know if radio is kind of the direction that that's not really me. I was a shy guy when I got to Wright State, and it was the best thing I could have been wrong about myself.
Absolutely, and I'm 100% on board with that same topic. I didn't think I'd be good at it, and there are times when I still think I'm not good at it, but and I've stuck with it because we're having fun. So it's a blast. So like Shea said, if you're on the fence, just jump over that fence and go for it.
And worst case scenario, I mean, if you try it and don't like it, that's fine. It's not for everyone. But I think that the issue is that you have to at least try it because I think that something we've talked about when we go to events and when we market and stuff like that is a common theme I've noticed with this org and with this station is we're very good at once we get people to bite on the hook, bite on the bait, if you will, to make a fishing metaphor. We hardly ever see somebody come in for a month and then decide to leave. It's a lot of people that come in, decide that they really, really like it and stay here for 2-3 years. And that's what I love about this place because it feels like, in the time that you spend here and the time that you spend in college, but in the time you spend here with this org, you really feel like, this is like your second family away from home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
So this is an interesting perspective that I think I personally feel, and I know that Parker will feel, but I think I wanted to address on it is not just the radio side of WWSU, but kind of how it grows people who work here, the students who work here, stuff like that. Like I said, like I kind of hinted at, when I got here, I was very antisocial. I had a small group of probably 5 or 6 friends from high school. 2 or 3 of them went here. And then other than that, I was a commuter. I came here, went to class, and went home. And so I think the 3.5 years I've spent here going from a guy that got an email to do one basketball game to being the sports director to now being the general manager, at 18, I would have thought that was insane. So I think the big thing that you also noticed is, like we hinted at, the college degree is really awesome. The education is extremely important, but some of the stuff you learn here, the growth in your confidence, the growth in leadership, social skills, and like time management, stuff like that. I feel like I've learned so much more about myself and how to just conduct myself through this experience, and that's something that obviously the degree comes in handy. But I feel like I'm almost leaving Wright State with 2 degrees because I've learned a lot about my major and I've learned a lot about myself.
Yeah. See, that's what we would want of every student organization, right? But I mean, it's kind of built in here.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing. I think you mentioned self-confidence, and I think that's so true. Just the ability to walk away with that from, any experience here is just going to serve you so well in the world. So that's just great to hear. And I kind of thought that, but it's just great to confirm that that is what happens here. And again, we would
Right.
hope for that out of most student organizations, but you all definitely do it here.
Absolutely. Any thoughts on that, Parker?
Yeah, but and coming in, I had no idea what I was gonna do. You told me, hey, we're gonna call some games, and I figured it would be okay. Well, call a game once every week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And then we come in and March rolls around. And you're like, all right, we have 4 games in 3 days. Let's do it.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And coming in now to at this point, this time last year, I knew nobody on campus because, of course, we were remote. So,
Yep.
Coming in and then throughout the year, the people I had met were the people that worked here. And then over the summer with seminars like Take Flight, which is fantastic.
Yes.
I completely recommend it if you're on the fence about doing something like that. But Take Flight was fantastic. Opens up my eyes and makes me meet a whole bunch of different people from all corners of campus and all different walks of life. So
Right.
it's like we said, the social skills, the leadership skills, and most importantly, the self-confidence that you build from it are really imperative to, not only your success, but, your future.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm glad you brought that up because it was mentioned earlier, the impact, the voice of the student voice here at WWSU. And I think that that's been one of my favorite things is the first 2 years I was here, we didn't really interact with other orgs as much as I wanted to. We didn't collab with the Guardian as much as I wanted to. We didn't have, almost friendship relationships with SGA presidents and stuff like that. And now Take Flight was a huge help in that. But the fact that, our marketing director is the president of Kappa Delta Sorority, and we work with UAB all the time, and we work with the Guardian all the time. We co-host a podcast with the Guardian. We do, we have Jonathan Ciero coming on a little bit later today to talk about, the impact of the SGA WWSU bond now. And so I think that's been one of the coolest parts of it is not just being a voice for students on campus, which is obviously extremely important, but also being a voice for student orgs, letting other orgs get information out about events, about how to join, and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's just us trying to put other people in the best position to succeed, and it's been really cool to see what we've been able to do in the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, and to second that, seeing what the people at Take Flight have done since then. I mean, Jonathan is doing great things with student government. They are always doing a whole bunch of different things on campus from all the types of different. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but the idea is they're doing a whole bunch of things with a whole bunch of different groups and organizations.
Right.
And one thing that I really loved about Take Flight was the opportunity to chat with President Edwards, and she gave us, crucial advice and really something that a lot of us took away from that, and the ability to ask her questions about university operations and how student organizations are involved with the success of university and vice versa, how we can help the university and how the university can help us. So it goes both ways, but the people to have somebody like Dean Taylor come in today and talk with us is awesome.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that we can have some more university administration in and to chat with us about not only what they do, but how we can help them.
Absolutely. And that's been one of my favorite parts too. I'm glad you brought that up, where we have, President Edwards unfortunately could not make it in because of just how packed her schedule is, and understandably so.
Right.
Homecoming week every week is wild in the president's office, but especially homecoming week. So, but just to get that email back where it's like, hey, unfortunately I can't make it in to do a recording, but if there's any other way I can help during this event, just let me know. Please don't hesitate to ask. It's stuff like that that really makes it feel like, that this universe, it's not just us against the world kind of mentality. It's people at this university, whether it's other orgs, whether it's the student body, whether it's the administration, the staff, faculty, all that kind of stuff. People are out here, supporting us. They care about us and they want the best out of us. And that makes it a lot easier to want to put out good content and, work your butts off on a daily basis.
Yeah, I want to just highlight the fact that you mentioned working with other organizations. I know that's one of student government's goals this year is to not have organizations as siloed. So I think that's great that you're already working with other organizations like the Guardian and UAB. I mean, I've seen you at some UAB events. So I think that's just vitally important. Again, part of student government's mission this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Dean of Students Chris Taylor, good enough to join us here today on College Radio Day. Really appreciate his time. Another thing I want to talk about here really quick is something that we kind of hinted at, but not everyone who comes to this station wants to do media, wants to do journalism after college, and that's totally fine. We have, our music director is a criminal justice major, has no interest in media after college, just has a passion for music, and we love people just like that just as much. I mean, something that we kind of put into our mission statement, Parker, is I'd rather it be less about experience. I mean, obviously experience plays some role, but I'd rather it be less about experience and more about passion. I want people here that want to be here. And I think we've had that issue in the past where we've had people here that are qualified to be here, but just didn't necessarily have the same love for the place as some other people that worked here. So I think it's really, really important that people here, just love what they do. And I think that that's a big part of it, even if you don't want to do media after college.
Yeah, you want people to enjoy it. And I know we both enjoy it. We're here all the time. And if we're not here, we're sleeping. So
we're planning when we come back here.
Right. So so we're here all the time. And if you are walking by outside our window or are curious to when we're, going to be here and you want to talk to either of us, our hours that we're in office are on the big TV that goes out to the hallway. But going back to that is the people here want to be here. And like you said, I know we've had some problems where people don't enjoy it or they just don't think it's that they did in the past, but they don't think it's very fun anymore.
Yeah.
We want people to be here and for the entire time that they're here to enjoy it. And we want people to come in and want to be here.
Right.
Why do you think we spend so much time here? Because we enjoy being here and doing what we do. So the people having those kind of people and the people with a good attitude, having a good attitude for anything is important with anything in life. Because if you have a bad attitude for something, not only are you not going to enjoy it, but the people you're with aren't either.
Absolutely. And going back to what I kind of hinted at earlier, if you are interested in a career in media or journalism after college, this is an unbelievable opportunity to get started. And we'll hear it from Justin, we'll hear it from Kev, we'll hear it from the former Guardian editor-in-chief, Sarah Cavender, later tonight. I'm excited to talk to all of these people that have turned experiences within college radio and college media into professional media careers. But this is an awesome opportunity to open doors to potential careers in media, in journalism, in broadcasting, stuff like that. And like I said earlier, with Wright State, you get 3-4 years of a resume, heading out of college. So you're gonna listen back and probably cringe at some of your stuff that you did your freshman year, but it's all part of, like I said, growing and maturing your craft and stuff like that. So I know Justin. One of my favorite quotes from Justin later tonight is, I go back and listen to some of my WWSU content, and I just absolutely want to hurl. But WWSU, I wouldn't have gotten to ESPN if I didn't start at WWSU. And I think that's a huge part is WWSU can get you to where you want to go. And it's an awesome start.
It is. And, I've been here for, just about a year now. But the things that opportunities and the doors that have opened for me in the last year have been awesome. I've gotten to speak with some amazing people through my show that I have, speaking with a former Dayton sportscaster and Dave Calabro, now in Indianapolis. I've talked with the public address announcer for the Minnesota Vikings, Alan Roach. That was really cool. So I've had some the opportunities that have presented themselves over the last 11 months or whatever it is to do this and to enjoy it is something that I'm sure some people take for granted. Some
Absolutely.
People that have been working for, big companies for years and years and years now take those opportunities for granted now. But for people like us, this is this is just the fuel to our rocket for what we're going to do at some point. So
absolutely,
it's really important.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So again, appreciate your time. Don't want to take up too much of it, but last thing I have is any advice or words of wisdom. It's been kind of a common theme throughout the day, but any advice or words of wisdom you'd have to somebody who's maybe on the fence about college radio or somebody who's on the fence about joining a student org in general, what would be that kind of, encouragement you'd give to them to join a student org?
I think any student organization is a great way to get further involved in campus. I think there are, there's data that shows us that folks who are involved in student organizations, whether they be WWSU or other ones, increase things like people's GPAs. People always need things to put on their resumes because, companies and other places these days don't just want, hey, here's my GPA and I graduated with a degree and I might have had a job working off campus, which is fine. They also want to know what's your depth, what else were you involved in? What kind of things, because, there's learning opportunities, as you both well know in here,
right?
And in other student organizations, beyond the classroom, and you pick up skills. You mentioned self-confidence, which I think is a tremendous thing. But, all kinds of skills that folks can pick up in our, couple hundred student organizations we have. So I think it's vital to do that. I get that it's not necessarily for everybody. I know it's a pull sometimes for commuters when they've got other things going. But, to your point about coming here, taking classes, going home, yeah, you can do that. But I think there's so much more to life on campus for, both commuters and residential students. And I think that, again, there's just information that shows us that, involvement like that leads to so many good outcomes. So I think it's just vitally important to do that and make that part of your college experience.
That's something that I've told, I work with admissions as a tour guide, and something that I've told some prospective Wright State Raiders is there are colleges that are known for things. Like you go to a big school, they're known for having a great, business program. And Wright State has so many great programs here. And there are other colleges that have, big organizations that everybody wants to go get involved with. But what I tell prospective students is Wright State is what you make it. And that's what Dean Taylor said. You can come to your class, come to the campus, go to class in the library, do your homework, and go home. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But if you want to have a good time, if you want to meet new people, if you want to learn things that you might not otherwise learn, join any one of these student organizations on campus, and you'll gain so many valuable experiences from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Dean of Students Chris Taylor, thank you so much for your time here today. We really, really appreciate it, and we'll hopefully talk again soon.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Can I ask, is it okay if I plug something
Absolutely.
unrelated to college radio that we're working on?
Absolutely.
Although I will say, college radio is a voice in how we get word out about things, right?
Absolutely.
Hopefully both of you and some of your listeners saw that we are now doing a giveaway regarding vaccination status and folks uploading their vaccination status or getting vaccinated if they're still, haven't done that yet. Opportunities to do that on campus. You can do that now through Wright State Physicians, but we're setting up opportunities that are more central to campus. The other thing I would say is with that giveaway, if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, and we're going to be doing more publicity about it, but if you go, the easiest way to do it is if you go to the Wright State main page, right-hand corner, there's a COVID germ or virus. I don't know if that's what it's called, but there's a graphic there. You click on that. It takes you to the main Wright State COVID website. And that tells you everything in terms of our approach to COVID and the things we're doing. But one of the things it says there is giveaway. And that gives folks the opportunity to, students and employees, go register their vaccination card if they've already been vaccinated. And from there, if they wish, they can join that giveaway, which has really some pretty awesome prizes in terms of gift cards, the opportunity to win a box at the Nutter Center with catering money for either a men's basketball game, women's basketball game, or another event. And in addition, for students, there are top prizes of $2,500 for a couple of students. So again, if you haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, I think that's a neat opportunity for folks to do that and possibly win some amazing prizes.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time again. Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll hopefully talk again soon.
Sure.
Well, that will continue our College Radio Day coming up right after this. We're going to step away for just a few minutes. When we come back, more from our 17-hour radiothon. Happy College Radio Day to all of you. We'll be right back. Back here with another segment here on College Radio Day. Happy College Radio Day to all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us here all day on WWSU 106.9 FM, a 17-hour radiothon. We are now in hour number 5, closing in on hour number 6. And we appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll be all the way up until 1 a.m. Eastern time, so make sure you stay tuned all throughout the day. We have awesome programming all throughout the day today, and it means a lot that you show your support. For this next portion, we're joined by SGA President of Wright State University, Jonathan Ciero. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. It's it's a lot of fun being in the studio, so it's fantastic.
It's always a unique experience to have the mic on, and occasionally if you get lucky enough to be in the on air, sometimes we put cameras on you, so
Oh yeah.
it's definitely a unique experience for a lot of people. But yeah, we're excited to have you in here. So really quick, let's learn a little bit more about you. Why don't you tell people a little bit about you and what you do on a daily basis here at Wright State?
Yeah, so I'm the student body president, which in some worlds it means I have to run a little bit of the university, but honestly, I'm here for students. That's my main goal. That's what I want to do. So I just want to be able to help people best I can. Just be around for the students, figure out what's going on in their lives, what issues they're facing, how we can go ahead and help them out in any way we can. But I mean, a little bit about myself. I mean, I'm a military kid, so I say plenty of sirs and ma'ams as I see people. So if apologize if you get the yes sir, yes ma'am from me, but that's been instilled in me since I've been a child. So, but yeah, I actually went to high school over in Germany. So I'm
Very cool.
actually from not in Ohio. Wright State's the only time I've actually lived in Ohio, which is a nice little fun fact about myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I remember you mentioned, we talked earlier this summer, but you mentioned one of your favorite things about being in Ohio, even though it's only been for a few years, is like the fact that it's a really good balance of, you have city life, like with Cincinnati an hour away, Columbus an hour away, even downtown Dayton just 15 minutes down the road. But you also have, 80% of the state, it feels like, is just cornfields and farms and all that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of different environments for a lot of people, different types of people here in Ohio. So I think it's one of the more unique states in the fact that it has almost everything.
Oh, 100%. I mean, on top of that, Ohio has a really similar climate to a lot of the places that I've lived. So I was born and lived 9 years in England alone, and the climate there is very, very mild. You don't really get too many extremes in terms of winter and summer. I mean, you maybe get 1 week where you actually breach 90 in terms of Fahrenheit out in England. So over here in Ohio, it's really similar in that regards, which is just really, really nice. I love this type of weather, this type of climate where you actually have all 4 seasons. You don't just have a bunch of heat or a bunch of cold, bunch of winter. So that's definitely something I really enjoy about Ohio. But as you said, on top of that, I mean, the location we're at in close to Dayton, you really are just close to everything. I mean, we're 2 hours from Indianapolis, we're an hour from Columbus, hour south of Cincinnati. I mean, Toledo's only 3 hours away north. You can sneak away to Cleveland as well. It's
Right.
only three and a half hours. So it's just a fantastic spot to be, and everything's close by your fingertips here.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's something that I really had never thought of, but you really are like, this area is really one of the epicenters of being relatively close to a ton of big cities in the Midwest, where you think west, like you said, you have Indianapolis, you're 5 hours away from Chicago. You have up north, Detroit, Cleveland, Toledo, like you said. You go east, you have Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. And then even if you go south, Louisville, Lexington, Nashville. So, I mean, it's a little bit of everything you have here in the Southwest Ohio region. You can really go any direction and stumble upon a pretty cool place.
100%. Totally agree there. Totally agree.
So let's talk a little bit about you've been we moved into our positions pretty similar time, but I want to hear a little bit about your experiences interacting with WWSU. Like I said, or throughout the day, like I'll say throughout the day, we're trying to get different perspectives on different levels of how people have interacted. So we have stuff with our own staff members, our own members. We have people with outside orgs. We have people with the administrative level. So I'm just curious, in your experience, some of the interactions you've had with WWSU, but college radio in general.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't really get to know the station too well up until I've moved into this position. But I mean, I've always walked by your guys' office, listening to the radio, knowing that you guys always have sick music playing. I mean, all 3 years, my freshman, sophomore year for sure. And then as I've gotten more into SGA a little bit, definitely learned a lot more about your guys' organization, and it's been fantastic. I mean, you guys are taking care of the music at half the events that we have on campus. On top of that, I've learned about how you guys are doing your sports broadcasting, and you guys are the ones that are really putting a lot of the broadcasting on air for a lot of our other sports on campus, a lot of our other teams. I know you guys have a ton of fun, especially with how close some of these volleyball games have been this year.
Yeah.
I know you guys have had an absolute blast broadcasting those. So
Yeah, no doubt about it.
it's been fantastic just learning about your org, learning about the radio station a bit more so far this year. And I gotta say, I'm very proud about what you guys do and everything that you guys do. It's just been fantastic.
Well, we appreciate that, and I think that's something that Dean Taylor said earlier in the hour. I mean, that I really thought was a unique perspective, where he said he has a niece that works at the University of Kentucky college radio station, and he said he's learned a ton about just the day-to-day ops and how much really goes into that. And I mean, I think that it's a lot of universities are moving away from college radio or just never had a college radio station, and I just think it's such a unique platform for everyone in the campus community, where we can get student voices heard, we can get other org voices heard about events or about joining their org, stuff like that. We can have administration come on and talk about some of the decisions being made on campus. We can have faculty, staff come on and talk about stuff. So I just think this is a very unique platform for a lot of people to get information out, which is much easier than a mass email or hoping that they stumble across a table or something like that in the student union. So we do appreciate that.
Of course, and I mean, I view you guys in a similar way where, I mean, every school has a school newspaper or online media group, right? So I mean, yeah, we have the Guardian here, another fantastic organization on campus. They do amazing work, but I mean, you don't really typically think of the radio station, and the fact that we have one here, I think, just goes to show like how unique of a campus we have, and the fact that you guys have that impact on campus. You have the ability to reach out to the students, but on top of that, you have the ability to reach out to the public. I mean, everyone within the Dayton area can hear on the radio, and it's just fantastic. So I mean, you guys have awesome outreach. It's just really exciting.
Absolutely. And I think one of my favorite things that we've done so far this year is that we understand that we don't have the widest range of people to listen to our FM. We cover all of Fairborn, we cover most of Dayton, but that leaves a lot of people kind of in the dark, not being able to listen to us in their car and stuff like that. So I'm very proud of the efforts that we've put into streaming live on our website and doing, broadcasts on Facebook Live, and really emerging with a YouTube channel this summer. And now we do live shows on YouTube. Every single show that you're hearing here today, every single interview that you're hearing here today will be on YouTube tomorrow at the latest. So that'll be a lot of really cool content. And then, I mean, later on, like, we're starting like in like a week or two, weekly wrap-up videos on YouTube for both sports and music. So I love the fact that we're kind of embracing the multimedia kind of side of it instead of just being, one-dimensional, because I think it's what I've learned in my time here at Wright State, but also my time in radio, is that you have to be adaptable. And I think we're doing a really good job of that.
Fully agree there. Fully agree. I mean, being adaptable is the most important aspect to have in a college life. And that goes from everything from running an organization to, I mean, just being a student. I think COVID's taught everyone how to be a bit adaptable. So, that's
Right.
everyone's been having to figure out how to do this, that, and the other in a very short span of time.
Absolutely. So you hinted at it a little bit, talking about, we talked a little bit about the impact of having a radio station here on campus, but just let's talk about Wright State specifically here for a second. What, in your in your opinion, what is the impact that having WWSU and having a college radio station at Wright State creates for the students, for the faculty, for basically anyone who wants to get their voices heard or their information out?
I mean, you kind of already spoke to it a little bit. I mean, you're able to have people come on and able to talk about what's going on, whether that's important issues, hot topics of discussion that needs to happen around campus. And maybe there's a few events that we want to have, publicized on the air a bit. So that way you can invite the important people into the studio on the air and have them talk about what's on their mind. We can have a lot of events. I mean, like homecoming week is this week, right? So having all those events on the air and having someone come on and explain, hey, last night, or if this was done, a couple weeks ago, they can come and talk about the chili cook-off and the bonfire that was happening out in Lot 4A, which you guys did a fantastic job at, by the way.
Thank you. The chili was great too.
Chili was great. I believe the voting was a little bit off. They didn't have SGA up within the podium ranks. I don't know what went on there, but I think you guys have that ability for students, faculty, staff, anybody can come on and talk about events. But the best part is that it doesn't have to be limited to just Wright State, what's happening on campus. You can also look at the community. I mean, that's the other fantastic part about the organizations on campus is that, yeah, we are student-run, student-led. We're here for the students, but we're also here for the community.
Absolutely.
Because we're not a university without our community. So, being able to turn around and say, hey, there's these events happening over in, say, like Fairborn Park, or these events are happening out in Xenia or in downtown Dayton at the Live It Pavilion. All those different types of things that are happening around campus, we have the ability to bring students on, bring faculty, staff, whoever might be leading those events,
Right.
have them bring them on and just talk about it. Let students know what it's about, because the beautiful part about that is they get to hear the passion from those individuals. And when you hear that passion over the air, they understand, hey, this is actually going to be a great event. It's going to be a lot of fun. I definitely want to go maybe take some friends with me. Anything along those ideas, like that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most common phrases I've heard since I got to Wright State was that Wright State's a commuter school. And that's true. We have the primary of our student body does commute to campus. But I think, like you said, going off of that, like one of the cool, unique aspects of being a commuter school is that it doesn't feel like we're our own little isolated bubble, like maybe Ohio State would, or maybe like a UD would. We almost feel like a glorified Dayton high school, where it's just a big school for the city of Dayton. And I think that's really cool because, like you said, we don't have to just focus on Wright State stuff. We obviously cover Wright State stuff, but it really feels like we are connected with the city of Dayton, and that's a really cool thing.
And another part, I mean, sure, we have a majority base being commuter students, but having a radio station gives them, I mean, if they're driving in their car, they're not able to sit there and read The Guardian, but they can sure as heck listen to the radio. And so they can tune in to 106.9 FM and just hear about what's happening around campus, what's happening on campus. Or, I mean, you guys play some awesome tunes, so maybe they might just be singing in their car, because I know that's what I like doing.
There you
so,
go.
it just gives them the ability to find out and really connect with a population that's sometimes harder to connect to.
Absolutely. SGA President Jonathan Ciero, good enough to join us here in College Radio Day. One of my other favorite things that I think my experience personally, but that I've talked with a lot of people about today, and I will continue to talk with, is this is more for student orgs in general, but especially here at WWSU, just the growth that I think you go through spending time in a student org, where I got here and I was so antisocial. I was so introverted. I only talked to the one supervisor I had, and I made sure that it stayed that way. I only wanted to talk to the one person I had to talk to. And now I just think that the growth that I've had in leadership and confidence and, talent, but I think that it's social skills, all that kind of stuff. I think being in a student org, but especially being in college radio, I know a lot of our other members of the org feel the exact same way. I think it really it's cool to get the piece of paper, get your degree, but I feel like I'm leaving with 2 degrees almost, because I got one for my academics and I feel like I got another degree for growing as a person. And I think that's what it's all about in college.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, if you told me 3 years ago, when I showed up as a clueless freshman on this campus, had no clue what I was doing, if you told me 3 years ago that I was going to become SGA president, I would have told you you're lying. There's no way. That just doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't get into government. That makes no sense for me. But all it took was for me to get involved in one thing. I turned around the following summer between my freshman and sophomore year. I was lucky enough to be able to work as an orientation peer mentor. And a lot of the people that I met through that program, a lot of the friends that I created through that program, one of them turned around at the start of the fall semester and said, hey, we have this open position in SGA. I mean, you were a fantastic orientation peer mentor. I'd love to bring you, invite you in and apply for this position.
Right.
I applied. One thing led to another. And suddenly I've been in the org for 3 years now, become the SGA president. And I wouldn't have imagined that was coming. And to tell you that my experience being a student leader on campus, being in orgs and whatnot, I would be lying to you if I haven't told you I've grown in many, many ways. I've developed as a leader. I've developed as just a person in general from these organizations, all the different activities we've done, all the things that we've gone through and sort of just had to work through. I mean, the entire pandemic, I'm pretty sure, made everybody grow in some way, shape, or form. For me, it was definitely shape, became a bit more round over the pandemic, but
I think all of us did.
Yeah.
The pandemic 15.
But, you know what I mean? On top of that, just helping lead part of the student body through the pandemic was something that I learned a ton from. And definitely, I'm at the end of the day, I'm going to be extremely thankful, because these opportunities that I was able to take and run with have enabled me to learn so much about myself, learn so much about the community, and just meet people and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, I think taking a leap of faith within Wright State was the best decision I ever made, because it got to the point after my freshman year, I was recommended to be the next sports director, and I literally didn't apply because I was like, no, you don't want that. You don't want that. And then the new sports director came in, thought he did a really nice job, but he ended up resigning because it was just too much for him. And then I decided to go for it. I got it and had a blast with it. And then the same thing happened with GM, where I got a text from our wonderful advisor, Debbie Lamp, who was on earlier today, by the way. She was like, hey, I think you'd be a really good candidate to be the next general manager. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, like I do sports. I don't know if I want to be in charge of everything. But I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I love this place, and I think we can do some really cool stuff. And I think my favorite part, and it started really with Take Flight, and it continued into the semester. I didn't realize how little people I knew on campus until this year. And I really had only interacted with maybe 2 or 3 other orgs, and I just did not know anybody. And now I feel like walking down the hallway, there's a 60-70% chance I know somebody, and that's really, really cool.
Fully agree. I mean, going to Take Flight was one of the best experiences I've had at Wright State. Meeting all the different student leaders, everybody who's in a leadership position in some way, shape, or form on campus, meeting them was just fantastic, because it just goes to prove that I think Wright State has the best people in the world, hands down. The people here on campus, the students here are top-notch, top-quality students, and without them, I mean, we wouldn't be half the university we are.
Right.
And the I hate to use the word coordinating 9 organizations, but coordinating 9 organizations, the leadership that we have within those organizations it's absolutely fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better team, because I mean, I don't know if you've talked too much about the Halloween bash that's going to be coming up
It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. I mean, it's now October 1st. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy October, right?
Yep.
End of this month.
It's officially spooky month.
It's officially spooky month. At the end of this month, we're going to be having our Halloween bash, and all the different organizations that have come together to start putting this together. It just goes to show the people behind it and how much they care and how fantastic
and
they are.
I mean, we'll reveal more secrets throughout the month, but just to give you a sneak peek, live music, a prom, a scary movie room, pumpkin smashing, pumpkin carving, a costume contest. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be it's going to be such a fun time.
And another thing, this was a really great point made by an alumni of the station, Justin Kinner, who's going to be on with me later tonight at 7. But I really liked it, where he said, I don't want to compare media to being a doctor. It's 2 completely different things. But media, and especially college radio, is a very unique situation where it's one of the few career fields that you can get like professional experience in that kind of work setting before you get your degree, where you can't be in medical school and just walk into an operating room and just start carving away. You can't do that. Here at WWSU, no, it's not the same as working for a Fox affiliate or working for WHIO or something like that, but it's a start. It's a good way to learn how to do intros, outros, hit commercial breaks. It's a good way to learn how to interact with guests. It's a good way to learn how to edit video. It's a good way to learn how to edit audio, promote yourself on social media. This is a really cool stepping stone opportunity for people that want to do media post-college, and I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah, I fully agree there. I mean, the amazing opportunities, and this just goes back to all the opportunities Wright State offers. I mean, if you find the organization that fits your clique, fits what you want to do as you get out of university, get out of college, it doesn't necessarily have to be within your degree. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineering student, and I'm president of the Student Government Association.
Right.
Those are 2 different, completely very different areas of the university, poli-sci versus engineering. So you don't have to get into an organization that is specific within your major. I mean, go find something that interests you. Go find something that really drives your motivation, that really gets you out of bed in the morning. Right. And the opportunities you will find from doing those activities and participating in those organizations, they're immense.
Right.
There is an opportunity in every single organization. There is an opportunity behind every single door. And don't be hesitant to open those. Don't be hesitant to walk through them. I mean, I know that's something that you definitely did, Shay, as you've gotten yourself into a GM position. I mean, like you kind of mentioned earlier, it's a leap of faith.
Yep.
I believe everybody in college takes a leap of faith at one point and another. Some might be a little bit greater than others, but you gotta take a leap of faith, and that's the only way that you're really gonna be able to find new possibilities for yourself.
Absolutely. One of the most valuable things I've learned in college is it's so much better to fail and experience that failure than to just wonder what could have been. So I think that, like you said, I mean, joining an org was a total out of my element kind of thing where it's like I'm a guy that had 5 or 6 close friends. I wasn't the kind of person that wanted to be, speaking in front of people in a group. And now all of a sudden I'm a media studies comm major and, I'm on air every week and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely something like you said that I think one of the best things you can do here at Wright State is join an org because being a commuter student was fine. Coming to campus, doing my classes, going home. I mean, it's not a bad experience. Wright State has great people, like you said. It has nice food. It has all that kind of stuff. So you can still have a nice experience out of that. But I feel like joining an org just doubles the experience that you get in college. And I feel like I'm leaving with so much more than I would have gotten just coming to campus, going to class, and going home for 4 years.
Yeah, and a little bit more on that point. I mean, it was something that I mentioned to a lot of the freshmen during first weekend. So over a month ago, we're already 6 weeks into this semester.
I know.
Jeez. But something that I like telling new students who are considering about joining an org. I mean, there are 2 different ways you can experience college. You can come to class, you can sit through your class, you can absorb the information, write down notes, whatever you do when you're in class. You can then just go straight home, study, hit the books, and do whatever you want to do in your free time. But you spend your free time away from the university, away from college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do that every single day. You're going to do that 5 days a week for 4 years. If you're lucky, you're able to maybe miss a couple days. You might enjoy Fridays off or something like that if you're like me. But you're simply just going to be coming to campus for the only sake of attending class, right? That is one way you can go through college. Or you can come to class, but in between classes or after class, you stay and, be a participant in an activity. Maybe do canoe battleship. Maybe do an intramural sport. Maybe join a specific org or a specific club and go to their general meetings. Right. And then when you do that, you're going to meet a few people. You're going to be able to establish some friends that are outside of the classroom so that when you come to campus, you're not only on campus for classes. You're also on campus maybe to go hang out with a couple friends and get food or lunch with them. Right. Or maybe you're on campus to go watch a movie with a couple friends because I know we'll do the Friday night movies over in Ullman Hall. And if you ask that first student who only comes to campus for class, and then you ask the second student the same exact question, what do you think about the campus or university you're at? I'm willing to bet the first student will tell you that they absolutely hate it. They don't enjoy it. They don't find any joy in coming to campus. They don't find any joy in their university. Everything's boring. Everything's bleak. Everything sucks. But if you ask the second student that same exact question, they're going to tell you that the university is fantastic. Right? They're excited for all the different things that they have the ability to do. They're excited for all the events that the campus has to offer. And all it takes is just doing something outside of class that is related to the campus. And so that's what I've been telling a lot of freshman students is get yourself involved in something.
Absolutely.
All it takes is one club, one organization. Just the one. So go find an organization that meets, it doesn't need to be a high time commitment. Go find an org that meets maybe a couple times a month, or even if it's once a month, find a different, couple activities that are happening around the month. Go attend those activities. If you just do those couple of simple things, you are improving your experience tenfold. You're going to enjoy the university a lot more, and you're going to have a lot more fun when you're coming to class because you're going to be able to see people like, sure, they're, your classmates, but you're also going to be able to go see other people and just have a bunch of fun with it. And you're going to be able to enjoy your experience significantly more.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. And SGA President Jonathan Ciero, good enough to join us. Final thing I'll ask you is what I've been asking people all day. Hypothetical situation. Somebody's on the ropes about joining college radio, joining a student org, something like that. What would be the words of wisdom or the advice you'd offer them if they're on the fence?
I'm going to take my inspiration from Nike and say, just do it.
Love it.
No, but seriously, go for it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is you're told no, but sometimes being told no means that another door is opening up. So even if you're told that this isn't the right way to go, I truly believe that even if that's not the right way to go, there's another path for you, right? You're simply at a fork in the road, and all you see is a do not enter sign. So you don't enter that fork, you're going to go down a different way. But if you're on the fence about joining a club, joining an org, go for it. Throw yourself at it. You'll be surprised the amount of energy you put into anything on this university, you're going to get so much back from it. So everything from, college radio to any type of work that you could be interested in, if you go for it, you jump in head first, you really put some time and motivation into it, you're going to be able to get so much back out of it. It's like planting seeds. You're going to plant a seed and you're going to get a great fruit out of it, and you're going to thoroughly enjoy it down the road 8 months' time.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for your time.
course.
Unfortunately, it's only an hour, but we do still have, another just absolutely awesome 11 hours of programming today. So make sure you stay tuned all day long. Happy College Radio Day to all of you. Happy Wright Day to give to all of you. And we'll have Parker Testa with The Perspective coming up next. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for your time. We'll talk soon.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Parker Testa coming up next.